These cigars came with a great concept, start to innovation, and it's fabulous.
I thought they've actually covered all the bases and everything. It's a great group of people. Granison Shines from the Blue Flame Cigar Society. Thank you very much for attending this edition of Cigar Talk. And I have with me again Mr. Brad Berko. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Today he is going to talk about cigars, or Cigars 101. We're going to talk about how to cut a cigar, what a Maduro is, what a Maduro is, all these other questions that you may have, especially those of you who are novices. Brad's going to give you all the inside scoop because he is Mr. Aficionado when it comes to cigars. You've been in the cigar club, in the cigar business for how many years now?
About 15 years.
15 years, okay.
And we primarily sell to casinos and golf courses and restaurants,
okay,
hotels around the country. And I do a Cigars 101 class for all the wait staff and bartenders and people like that.
That's what you're getting right now.
So they match up the right cigar for the right person,
all right,
as well as learning how to cut and light the cigar and answer some pretty basic questions for their customers.
Good, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through some basic things, but again, he's a wealth of knowledge, so pay attention as you're going to learn something. I know I am, because I'm not the cigar aficionado that I want to be yet, but I know Mr. Brad Berko is. So, all right, so let's start with how to cut a cigar. You have punch, you have cutting. What's best for who, and how do you know?
Well, everything about cigar smoking is very personal.
Okay.
Some people like to cut a cigar one way, some people like to light a cigar another way,
okay,
and some people like to smoke different cigars. So there's no right or wrong answer. You know, people always ask me, well, what's your favorite cigar? I always go, the one that's in my mouth. You know, people always ask me, well, what do you drink with the cigar?
Right.
And I always say, I don't care what you're drinking as long as you're smoking. Because, you know, there's no right or wrong. But on cutting and lighting a cigar, we have different instruments to cut a cigar.
Okay.
The first instrument is this double guillotine cutter, which means that when you open it, it has stainless steel from both ends that comes in and cuts the cigar from both sides.
Good.
Then what we have also is a punch or bullet cutter. This is a beautiful Rocky Patel lighter and cutter, and as you can see, it has three different size bullet or punch cuts.
Okay.
All right. Now, the thing about the bullet cut is you can only use this on a cigar that has a flat cap or a flat head, as this cigar.
All right.
Because you push it in. But a cigar that's got a shaped end, obviously you can't cut with a punch or bullet cutter.
Sure, okay.
So there are different cutters for different people. Most people, like I said, prefer this double guillotine.
Now, do you get any sort of different amount of smoke from the cigar, different taste when you cut versus punch?
Well, you know, I was raised using a double guillotine cutter.
Okay.
And I like it. But with a punch cutter, it seems to keep the cap intact throughout the smoke, especially if you're the type of person that likes to chew on their cigar.
Ah, okay.
All right, that punch or that bullet cut doesn't close, as opposed to the double guillotine, it closes. Now, a good friend of mine, years ago, we were at the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. His name is Ernesto Perez Carrillo, who was the founder, his family started La Gloria Cubana Cigars.
Oh, okay.
And I'm cutting my cigar, just holding it like this, putting it through and making a cut. And Ernesto does the simplest thing in the world, which I couldn't believe a cigar aficionado like he was doing, but I've been doing it and teaching it ever since. And what it is you open the double guillotine cutter, you place it on a flat surface, you take the cap or the head of the cigar, you put it in, you press it against the floor or the base of the table, and you push in, and you make a perfect cut every single time.
I like that.
It's the easiest way to cut a cigar, and you get the most exact cut every time.
Nice.
Now, some people will say, Granison, well, you're putting that cigar maybe not on a clean surface. Well, that's okay, because the part that you're cutting is on the non-clean surface.
That's true.
But the part that you're smoking is not.
Right.
Now, that's a very easy way to cut the cigar. Another way to cut the cigar is if you want to hold the guillotine cutter in your hand, what you're doing is you really only want to cut 1/16 of an inch. Now, you have to get used to this. You put a simple cut, and there it is. Now, what a cigar has with the cap, it has like a shoulder on the flat head part.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to cut right above the shoulder, all right, on the rounded side by cutting upward.
Oh, okay.
If you cut it too far down, you're going to cut into the wrapper leaf. And if you cut into the wrapper leaf,
it starts unraveling when you start smoking.
Exactly. It'll start unraveling when it smokes.
Okay.
Now, the rule in cutting cigars is it's always better to cut less than to cut more.
Okay.
If you don't cut enough, you could always snip a little bit more off. If you cut too much, it's not like you can put it back.
Yeah, there you go, that's true.
Now, there's a lot of lighters these days that come with punch cutters.
Okay.
All right, here's a beautiful Colibri cutter, or Colibri lighter, that comes on the bottom with a punch cut.
Oh, okay, nice.
Now, what you do with something like this is you insert that punch into the center of the cap, and you just turn it and turn it and turn it and push the cap, or push the punch into it. You pull out, and there you go. You got a perfect punch cut every time.
Right.
And that's really nice.
Now, I've seen people do kind of a double punch towards like a little figure eight. Does that make any difference, or what?
It just opens the cap up even further to get more of a draw.
Okay.
See, that's what you're trying to do when you cut the cigar. You're trying to get a draw, that you draw the tobacco into your mouth and you exhale it back out.
Right. Okay.
Some people put 2 punch cuts in there. Some people, you know, do crazy things. Another thing that I was taught by my Cuban cigar roller is any cigar that's shaped like this, which is a Torpedo cigar or Bellicoso cigar.
Same thing?
Also called a pyramid, more or less the same thing, but it has a shaped cap.
Okay.
Okay? And you can't obviously use the punch cutter. But what you do is you take the guillotine and you cut it not straight across, but you cut it on an angle.
Really?
And you cut it on an angle to keep the shape of that torpedo. And it also opens up the cigar to increase the draw. And it works great every single time. And it's just beautiful, and it keeps the shape of the cigar. I see an awful lot of people, and I hate to see this, they buy a Torpedo or a Pyramid or a Bellicoso cigar with a shape on it. And what they do is they cut so much of the cigar off, they should just be smoking a Robusto.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, a flat-headed cigar. But the reason you buy a shaped cigar is it's a smaller amount to put into your mouth. So you don't have to open your mouth a big way to get that cigar inside. You just open it. It's very easy. It's perfect. There are some cigars, like this Panatella cigar. We'll talk more about the differences in the shapes and the sizes and the wrapper leaf after. But this cigar has got what they call a pigtail. And it's the old Cuban way that they had of rolling cigars and putting the cap on. When they have a pigtail, you don't even need to use a cutter. What you do is you just take the pigtail between your fingers and you turn it, and it's not the cleanest, but you have a opening to smoke the cigar.
And that's enough?
That's enough. And if it's not enough, always cut a little bit more.
Okay, nice.
All right?
Yeah.
So those are the nuances with cutting a cigar. Many times when you go to a cigar bar, you know, the cocktail waitress, the bartender will offer to cut your cigar.
Right.
It's not disrespectful to them if you ask them to borrow their cutter, if you don't happen to have one, and use the cutter yourself on your own cigar.
Okay.
don't ever feel intimidated to use their cutter, because many of us, myself included, I like to cut a cigar a particular way.
Okay.
And then the next step, I guess, would be lighting the cigar.
Right.
Lighting the cigar is obviously very, very important. And what we'll do here is we'll show the lighting of the cigar. Now, there's a couple of different ways to light the cigar, a couple different instruments. The first one is the most basic, which is the wooden matches.
Yes.
Cedar stick matches. Cedar stick matches are great. But most of the clubs don't really carry them anymore, and you really need like a 2-3 inch cedar stick.
Yeah, one of the long ones, huh?
One of the long ones, which is made for cigars as opposed to a cigarette or anything like that. And but most of the time they have different lighters. They have a soft flame lighter, which is something like this, and it's a soft flame. It comes out pretty regularly, but it's a nice soft flame. And then the other type of lighter, which a lot of us are very familiar with, is a torch lighter. And this, as you can see, has got 4 different torches that comes out.
Okay.
And this is really great if you're outside on the golf course or out in the backyard of the clubhouse or in your backyard or what have you, because the wind doesn't blow this out.
Okay.
All right?
It'll blow that one out, though, right?
It'll blow out the soft flame.
Or any other kind of really soft flame, like from a Bic lighter or something like that.
And what we'll do now is we'll show everyone how to light the cigar.
But before we do that, I got a question.
Sir.
Is there any difference in the taste of a cigar if you use a match versus a lighter that has butane? People say that all the time. I personally haven't noticed the difference, but is that a true or myth?
There is no difference in taste if you use matches that have a cedar stick to it.
Okay.
All right, as opposed to the matchbooks that you get when you buy cigarettes.
Okay.
Those matchbooks and matches put off a chemical flavor that doesn't mix well with cigars. It'll light the cigar, but it'll add a little chemical taste to it, and you don't want that because a cigar is all natural.
For the entire smoke of the cigar, it will? Or just
no, just the initial
burn.
burn.
Okay.
I mean, worst case scenario, if you don't have matches or a cutter or a lighter, then you could use those cigarette type matches.
Okay.
But I wouldn't suggest it.
There you have it from Mr.
All right.
Aficionado.
All right. Now, on lighting the cigar, what you first want to do is you want to you want to
toast it?
Toast.
Okay.
Thank you, Granison. Aficionado number 2. You want to toast the cigar. So what you're basically doing is, you can see this outside, this is called the foot of the cigar, the part that you light. You can see how it's a light tan. And what you're doing by toasting the cigar, you're going to turn this black, and you're going to warm it up to light the entire cigar. So all you do is you take that torch, and what I'm doing is I'm holding the cigar still in my left hand, and I'm circling it in my right hand. That's the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
And after a few minutes, you could see it's all black.
Okay. Yep.
It's all black. Then what you want to do is take the cigar, put it in your mouth, and what you're doing, you're going to light the cigar now, so you're drawing the tobacco in, you're exhaling it out. You're drawing it in, exhaling it out.
You're not swallowing the smoke, right?
You're not swallowing the smoke.
Okay.
You don't do that with cigars.
Okay.
Cigars, it's almost like a wine tasting.
Yeah.
Most everyone has been to a wine tasting as opposed to a cigar tasting.
Correct.
Smoking a cigar is very much like a wine tasting. You take in the tobacco into your mouth, you taste it, you exhale it out, just like a wine tasting. You sip it, you gargle it around, and you spit it back out.
Right.
All right? But so what you do here is you take the cigar in your mouth, and what you do is you circle the circumference of the cigar with the light so you get a nice even burn.
All right.
You can do that, or you can keep the lighter still, and you can turn the cigar.
Okay.
It's easier to turn the lighter. So here we go. My favorite part, obviously. So, and then the last thing, you blow on the cigar, and you see the nice orange embers. So it's lit, and as you can see, Granison, it's lit pretty evenly throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And that's what you want to do. You want to light the cigar nice and evenly, so it burns nice and evenly. The great thing about a torch lighter is that if you see the cigar is not burning evenly, you could just torch that side that's not burning evenly.
Yeah.
And you just enjoy the smoke.
And it should be the orange ember all the way around. Should
all
be
the way
black
around.
spots in the middle of it. That means it's not lit. Or if it's one side has a black spot,
right,
it's not lit.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
I mean, the most basic thing is lighting the cigar correctly from the beginning, and you will get a nice even burn throughout.
Right.
Now, what most people don't realize is cigars, unlike cigarettes, cigars have no chemicals in them.
Right.
Cigarettes have lots and lots of chemicals. So even if you put that cigarette down and don't smoke it, it's going to burn all the way to the filter. If you don't smoke the cigar after like a couple minutes, it's going to burn out.
Right.
You know, like we're in a good conversation, we're talking rather than puffing away, or we put the cigars down. Well, what you do is just take the cigar, take the lighter, relight it, and you're good to go once again.
Okay, good.
So, like I said, my favorite part of Cigars 101.
Smoking a cigar.
That's right.
Good, 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 good. All right, so there you have it. We are going to take a break right now, and we'll be back with you in a few moments. We're going to talk about the different sizes of the cigar, talk about the difference between a Robusto and a Maduro and Church, all this other kind of good stuff. So we'll be back with you in a moment. Thank you for watching Cigar Talk. The biggest cigar party of the year is here, and you're invited. Join the Blue Flame Cigar Society at the Shadows Martini and Cigar Lounge located inside the beautiful Talking Stick Resort. Now mark the date on your calendar right now. Saturday, July 10th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Again, that's Saturday, July 10th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Every attendee will receive a 5-pack of premium cigars worth over $35 plus complimentary food. There'll also be raffle prizes, live music, and of course, fun for everyone. Go to blueflamecigarsociety.com/Big Bash to reserve your ticket now, or for more information call 480-677-9606. Again, that's blueflamecigarsociety.com/Big Bash, or call 480-677-9606. We'll see you there. And we're back. This is Granison Shines and Mr. Brad Berko with Cigar Talk right here with the Blue Flame Cigar Society. And now we're going to talk about the different tobaccos. And I don't know that much about it, so of course we're going to let Brad give you all the scoop on what these different types are. So take it away. What's the difference between the tobaccos, and how does it make you feel, and all that good stuff?
All right, Granison. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be on Cigar Talk once again. And I think that Granison has not given himself enough credit. He knows plenty about cigar smoking. But there's different countries where cigars are manufactured and where the different tobaccos come from. I think most everyone realizes by now that the United States has an embargo against Cuba.
Yes.
It used to be that we would import all the Cuban cigars from Cuba that were manufactured there. We would bring bales of cigar tobacco mainly to Tampa, Florida, and they would roll the Cuban cigars there. But back in the early 60s, when the Cubans started pointing those nuclear-tipped missiles at us, Congress enacted the Trading with the Enemies Act. And since then, for the past 55, 60 years, we've had an embargo against Cuban cigars. And what happened back in the late 50s and early 60s is that the Cuban cigar farmers took bags of their seed, of their tobacco seed, and they fled Castro's regime. And they went to similar countries of similar weather and humidity and what have you as Cuba, mainly in Central America and in the Caribbean. So these Cuban farmers fled Cuba, went to the Dominican Republic, went to Honduras, went to Costa Rica, went to Nicaragua, etc. They took those bags of Cuban seed tobacco and they planted them in the ground in the Dominican, in Honduras, etc. But now it's really a marketing ploy, an advertising ploy by the cigar manufacturers. 60 years after those Cuban seeds were planted, manufacturers are saying from Nicaragua, this is Cuban seed cigars.
Okay.
Now, 60 years ago, they were Cuban seed. Now they're Nicaraguan seed. Now they're Dominican seed.
Right.
Everything started with the Cuban seed, and that's true. But now, these other countries are manufacturing great cigars from great tobacco.
Right.
The Dominican Republic leads all imports of cigars from every non-Cuban country.
Right. All right.
Next is probably Nicaragua, and after that is Honduras, and then Costa Rica. But, you know, you'll get wrapper leaf from the state of Connecticut, called Connecticut Shade Wrapper. You'll get wrapper leaf from Cameroon in West Africa.
Yeah.
You get all sorts of wrapper leaf. And there's 3 different tobaccos that go inside every cigar.
Okay.
In the middle of the cigar is called the filler leaf.
Filler leaf.
Filler leaf. Around the filler leaf is called a binder wrapper.
Still on the inside.
Still on the inside, and that binder wrapper binds the filler leaves together.
Okay.
Outside of the binder is the wrapper leaf, the outside wrapper. Now,
that one gives it most of the color, of course, right?
Well, it gives it most of the color, but it also gives it most of the flavor, which is more important.
The binder leaf?
No,
I mean
the wrapper leaf. The outside wrapper leaf.
All right.
The outside wrapper leaf contributes 60% plus of the cigar's flavor.
Really?
Now, in a thinner cigar, like this Panatella, and once again we'll talk more about the different sizes, but this is a Panatella cigar. It's got about a 38 ring gauge.
Okay.
And cigars are measured in inches by length and in ring gauge, which is the width of the cigar. And 1/64 of an inch is 1 ring gauge. So this is a 38 ring gauge. So if you do a little fractions, 38 over 64, it's about a ½ inch in diameter. This cigar is called a Gordo. Okay? It's like a 6 by 60, 6 inches long by a 60 ring gauge. Now, the fatter the cigar, the more flavor comes from the different filler leaves than from the outside wrapper leaf.
Oh, okay.
Because the manufacturers and the rollers have more opportunity to put more different tasting fillers in there.
Okay.
Now, the filler leaves don't necessarily have to come from just one country. As a matter of fact, most cigars are made with fillers from several different countries.
Really?
I think it's the Punch cigar that comes with filler leaves from 5 or 6 different countries. So it gives it a little bit of a different taste.
Okay.
When you have a very thin cigar, there's very little filler leaves.
Right.
So mostly you're smoking the wrapper, and that's where most of the cigar taste comes from. Now, the thing about the outside wrapper leaf, and the most important thing, is the lighter the outside color of the wrapper leaf, the milder the cigar.
Okay.
And you can see this one. This is actually made, this is a Perdomo Habano cigar made with a Connecticut shade wrapper. That Connecticut shade wrapper is actually grown in the state of Connecticut. It's the most expensive wrapper leaf in the world because it comes from an area of the United States with the most expensive real estate. They've been growing wrapper leaf in Connecticut since the Civil War days, and it is the #1 selling wrapper leaf in the world. You were talking about Macanudo cigars.
Right.
Macanudo is the #1 selling cigar brand in the United States. It's one of the top ones in the world.
Right.
Every Macanudo is made with a Connecticut shade wrapper, and it's known for this golden tan sheen, and it just makes it a very mild cigar. Now, you have the mild Connecticut shade wrapper, which is very light color, and on the extreme, you have this Perdomo Grand Cru, which is made with a Maduro leaf.
Okay.
And you can see the differences
Big difference.
in the color.
Right.
One is a light tan, the other one is black.
Right.
All right. And the Maduro leaf, the tobacco plant is about 13 feet in height, and the Maduro leaf is the last leaf to be picked from the plant. It's the tallest leaves on the plant, and it's exposed to the sun the most. So the tobacco farmers pick these leaves, they then bring them to curing farms, or curing barns rather, and they get all the oil into it, and then they put it on the cigar. But this cigar will smoke very, very strong. All right.
Versus this one.
Versus this one.
I notice this one also has darker filler leaf also.
Yeah, it has a darker filler leaf as well.
Okay.
There's also a special filler leaf that goes into many cigars called Ligero. And the Ligero is a stronger filler leaf.
Right.
So we have cigars here at Scottsdale Cigar Club made by Christoph. And Christoph manufactures a cigar that's a Ligero Maduro. And a Ligero Maduro is a Maduro wrapper, but it has Ligero filler in the cigar.
Okay.
We also sell a cigar called a Camacho Triple Maduro.
Triple Maduro.
Now, Camacho Triple Maduro has 3 Maduro wrappers wrapped around it.
Right.
Strong cigar.
Are you stronger than that one there?
Much stronger than this one here.
So you feel a buzz.
You feel a buzz, but you know, there's different strokes for different folks, I always say. And I don't say anybody's right or anybody's wrong. Myself, I don't care for a particularly strong cigar. And I'm a cigar smoker. I like something that's like medium to full bodied.
Okay.
But what a lot of people do is they will start out with a milder cigar in the morning.
Okay.
They'll go up to a cigar that has like a medium color wrapper. And once again, you can see the difference. This is a Corojo wrapper in the middle.
Okay.
Okay. And then in the evening, they'll end up with a Maduro cigar. Now, we get all sorts of people that come in here, and some people, rather than starting with a latte coffee in the morning, they like to start with like a quadruple espresso.
Right.
This cigar, folks, is like a quadruple espresso.
Wow.
So some people like to start their morning with a bang, and this starts the morning with a bang.
Serious one, huh?
But, you know, like I said, there's different strokes for different folks. We have 500 cigars here at Scottsdale Cigar Club. Other cigar stores might have 1,000 or more cigars. And the great thing about cigar smoking, the greatest thing about cigar smoking, is selection. You know, it's like going to a buffet.
There's a lot of selection.
Yeah, it's like going to a buffet at a dinner. You have so many choices.
Yep.
You don't know what to choose from. But you take a little of this, you take a little of that. In the cigar store, with our 500 cigars, choose different ones.
Right.
And then once you choose individual ones, then you might choose a box that you'll invest in.
Yes.
And then that's your like go-to cigar, I call it. But the greatest part about cigar smoking is the different cigars. I travel all across the country, all across the world, and I go to cigar stores in every city I'm in. And I always find a cigar that I've never smoked, and I try it. If I don't like it, I just wasted some money.
Yeah, true.
If I like it, I have a great experience.
Yeah.
Now, we were also talking about the different shapes and sizes of a cigar.
Absolutely.
We will start with the smallest cigar, and this is called a Petite Corona. It's about 5 inches long by about a 40 ring gauge.
Petite Corona.
Petite Corona.
All right.
Now, this cigar will last about 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
The shorter the cigar and the less wide the cigar, the quicker the smoke. All right, so if you have 30 minutes, great cigar to smoke. You'll get a lot of taste out of it. It's a beautiful cigar for during the day. It's just wonderful, but it's called a Petite Corona. Now, a new small cigar, a lot of the manufacturers have been creating, and this is by Gran Habano, but I believe Oliva with the nub started these small cigars. And this is a 4-inch by a 60 ring gauge. And I remember when I first smoked this, I figured it'd take me 20, 30 minutes because it's so short. But because it's so fat, it takes a good 45 minutes to smoke. But it's a really great cigar. It's a really great cigar. So you have the Petite Corona, and you have, it's like a mini Gordo cigar, or a small Gordo cigar. Now, going up from that, and this is the most popular cigars, this is the most popular cigar size there is, and this is called a Robusto cigar.
Robusto.
And it's 5 inches by a 50 ring gauge.
Okay.
Now, by the way, every manufacturer manufactures the same generic types of cigars, whether it's Maduro, Punch, Hoyo Excalibur, Zeno, Fuente, Tatuaje, what have you.
All right.
They all make Petite Coronas, they all make Coronas, they all make Robustos, they all make Churchills, they all make Torpedoes. And then they might have their own variation.
So how many different sizes are there? You
There's a good dozen.
There. Really?
There's a good dozen sizes. All right. So the Robusto is a 5x50, take you about 45 minutes to smoke the cigar. Now I'm talking 45 minutes if you're constantly smoking the cigar.
Okay.
All right. If you're putting it down, picking it back up, relighting it, obviously it's going to take longer.
Okay.
The Panatella cigar is a great morning cigar. Like I said earlier, you're smoking mostly the wrapper leaf because it's only about a 38 ring gauge by about a 7-inch long cigar.
Yeah, that's a pretty long one.
It's a very, very popular smoking cigar. It's wonderful, a lot of great taste. This will take you upwards of 45 minutes. We talked a little bit about the mini Gordo, and this is a full Gordo. And this is a 6x60. Very, very common size and an extremely popular size today.
I like that size.
The reason it's so popular is because it's a 60 ring gauge, there's lots of different fillers that go in there that make it a much more complex tasting cigar. And because it's 6 inches, you're enjoying a lot more of the cigar. This is a good hour and 15 minute cigar. Great cigar for the golf course also.
Okay.
Now, going up from there, here's a Toro cigar, which is also very popular. This is about a 6-inch long by a 50 ring gauge cigar. And you can see it's about an inch less, or an inch more rather, than the Robusto.
Right.
Okay, so it's just a bigger Robusto.
Okay.
Toro, very, very popular cigar, take you about an hour to smoke. Now, the next cigar is called the Churchill. Now, everybody has heard of a Churchill cigar.
Yep.
It was actually made for Sir Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, by H. Upmann, the Cuban company H. Upmann.
All right.
And this was the size that Sir Winston Churchill liked to smoke all the time. So it's about a 7-inch long by 50 ring gauge cigar. And once again, you can see the difference between the Toro. The Toro is a 6x50. This is a 7x50. Great golf course cigar. Great golf course cigar. It's about an hour and a half long smoke.
Really?
So if you want to smoke a cigar for a while, it's about an hour and a half. Now, if you're only looking to smoke a cigar for 30 or 45 minutes, this is not the cigar to buy.
Okay.
Because if you paid $10 for a cigar that you only smoked half of, you just wasted $5.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's pretty important to buy a cigar that you know how much time that you have to smoke the cigar. Now, the last cigar we'll talk about is a different range of cigars, and it's called a Torpedo or Bellicoso or Figurado or Pyramid cigar. And what that basically means, it's shaped at the head, where you put it in your mouth. It's shaped like triangular.
Right.
All right? As opposed to these other cigars that we just talked about, which have a flat head.
Right.
All right? It's a little bit easier to put in your mouth. You can imagine a cigar like this versus a cigar like this with a 60 ring gauge. You have to open your mouth quite a bit.
Yeah, you do.
Some people like that, some people don't like that. It just depends on your style and your preference. But these Torpedoes, I love a Torpedo cigar because of the way it sits in my mouth. It's very easy. I like the smoke. But once again, Granison and everyone that's out there, cigars are a personal choice. It's a personal preference. There's no right, there's no wrong. As long as you enjoy the cigar, that's all that matters.
Right. That's what I like.
And you know, like I said, here at Scottsdale Cigar Club, we got 500 choices. I've been to cigar stores that have thousands of choices.
Right.
And make a choice. Smoke it, see if you enjoy it. What I recommend is that when you're done smoking the cigar, you take this band off. Okay? And on the back of the band, you write in there the type of cigar, the date you smoked it, how
That's
much you spent for it, and if you liked it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have books and books on these bands that I glue into a book. It's called a cigar dossier.
Okay.
And you can buy these, or you could just go to an Office Max or Staples and create your own loose leaf binder. And you put that band in the book, and you say whether you liked it or not, or if it was a terrible draw, or if it was a terrible burn, or if it was like real peppery, or, you know, this is more of a morning cigar or an evening cigar, or maybe this was the most fantastic cigar you ever smoked in your life.
Right.
And that's a great way to remember if you liked the cigar or you didn't like the cigar.
Because I know there are times when I've smoked something and I liked it and I didn't save the band. I forgot what it was. Like, what? It was a band that kind of had a blue tint or blue this and that. You know, you totally forget. Right?
Exactly.
But the cigar dossier, I like that. That's pretty cool.
And you know, lots of cigars will have the same band, but it'll be a different shape. It'll be a different wrapper. It'll be different filler, etc. So you have to write on that band the specific name of the cigar, so you remember the next time you go to your cigar store and you ask for that specific cigar that you liked.
Yep.
Because you don't want to have another terrible smoke that you've already experienced.
That's true. I've done that too.
Absolutely, we all have.
Hey folks, we'll be right back in a moment. We have a special offer for all those who are watching this video. Brad's going to make you an offer on a package of cigars that we'll know you like, and you'll be able to get them right here at the Scottsdale Cigar Club. All right, we'll be back with you in a moment. Thanks. The biggest cigar party of the year is here, and you're invited. Join the Blue Flame Cigar Society at the Shadows Martini and Cigar Lounge located inside the beautiful Talking Stick Resort. Now mark the date on your calendar right now. Saturday, July 10th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Again, that's Saturday, July 10th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Every attendee will receive a 5-pack of premium cigars worth over $35 plus complimentary food. There'll also be raffle prizes, live music, and of course, fun for everyone. Go to blueflamecigarsociety.com/Big Bash to reserve your ticket now, or for more information call 480-677-9606. Again, that's blueflamecigarsociety.com/Big Bash, or call 480-677-9606. We'll see you there. Hey there folks, and we're back, and I told you we had a special offer for you, so Brad's going to let you know what you're going to get in this 5-pack of cigars that he has selected specially for you. All right? Brad?
Well, Granison, what we're going to do is we're going to have a 5-pack of 5 of the most popular cigars that we just talked about, as far as the different shapes and sizes. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer the Gordo cigar, which is a 6x60.
Okay.
We're going to do a Robusto cigar, which is the most popular size that there is, which is a 5x50.
Right.
We're going to do a Panatella cigar, which is an excellent, excellent morning cigar, very elegant cigar. It's a cigar that probably most of you haven't tried before, but we're going to put in a Panatella. We're going to put in a Torpedo or a Bellicoso or Figurado shaped cigar, so you can try that. And last but not least, we're going to put in Sir Winston Churchill's cigar.
Nice.
The Churchill. And we're going to offer these 5 different cigars, this 5-pack, for $40. And I can assure you the value will be much greater than the $40.
Good, good, good. All right. So there you have it, folks. There's your offer right there. You can click the link on this page here, right down below the video, and order this 5-pack of cigars, and we can ship those anywhere because Brad has the capability of shipping it wherever you're watching this video from. So other than that, if you call into Scottsdale Cigar Club, mention the Blue Flame Cigar Pack. Blue Flame Cigar Pack regarding this video for the 101 teaching that we just taught you, that Brad just taught you about the cigars, okay? So the Blue Flame Cigar Pack, also if you call in, and we'll get that right out to you as soon as possible. Brad, thank you very much for being on the show, Cigar Talk.
Granison, my pleasure. Thank you, and thank you to Blue Flame.
It's always nice to have Brad on the show because he is a wealth of knowledge. We'll have him back again to talk about some other things.
Sounds good.
I'm putting you on the spot right now.
All right, not a problem.
All right. Thank you very much, folks, and we will talk to you later. Bye.